Good day, everyone. Ryan from the Grumpy Old Gamers here, and we have a first time thing, and it's super exciting. We're going to interview somebody. That's right. We are going to interview somebody. Um, we have a contributor on our Facebook page. He's super active, and he messaged us one day about testing his game when it's completed, and that really piqued our interest. So we decided to. I approached him and asked him if he wanted to be interviewed about this, and he agreed, and we chatted. And seems like we're all things nerdy and gamey. So, Brent, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, is this thing on? Yeah, I'm just joking. um, well, like God, let's see. I'm a long-standing tech person. Basically, been messing with tech since like the Commodore 64 days. Um,
Commodore.
yeah.
Sorry.
um, Mostly into hardware. Really good with machines, computers. Obviously, came next. Networks. Um, and God, I kind of got to that point being a gamer. Like I've been gaming since like the Atari days, like back in the '70s, and probably before that in the arcades. Um, when everyone who plays games kind of gets to that point where they're like, I could make a better game than this, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to make a better game than this, and then started doing it. And I was like, oh Jesus, maybe I can't. But it's been kind of trial and error from there.
So this is more of a side project thing and not what you do for a living.
Not what I do for a living currently, but I used to be an old school game journalist. I really love the industry. I love games, and I would actually like to, try and make my way as an indie developer. Eventually, it's just getting that first product out, seeing how people respond to it, and then knowing whether you're doing the right thing or not well enough to actually be able to make a living off of it.
Right. So we'll maybe before we barrel on here, where you had some journalist experience. You said where did you write for before?
Well, I did some contributing stuff for Nintendo Power, like way back, and a little bit for the PlayStation Magazine, and then wrote a lot of articles on OneUp.com. Like, God, I can't even remember how many now, but a
Oh
lot.
man, I miss
Yeah,
One Up so
I
much.
know. And it was all Ziff Davis Media, damn it, coming in and taking over the magazine, and then they're just like, oh well, we can kill the website now. We don't need
Oh
it. I
yeah.
mean, the archives are there, but everybody's content, all the articles like that I wrote and that other people have wrote, are just gone. And I wish I'd known they were going to do it before then, because I would have gone in and saved it all.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of like the Facebook for gamers at the time, but it
It
was so
totally
much
was.
more.
Yeah,
Oh,
like I could find everything I wanted there. Like I read articles of like from people who are playing things that I'm playing, not just what's popular at the time. And yeah, it was a great site. Loved
oh,
it.
oh, yeah, me too, man. I totally loved it. And in fact, like a good quarter of my Facebook are all people I've kind of found again from the One Up days, and yeah, it was a very interesting structure with the entire site where you could communicate with people. You could read contributors' content right along with pro content that was written by
Yeah.
the people from PlayStation Magazine. And then I remember they had the One Up show as well.
Oh.
Yeah,
Um.
they did like a small video segment. It was like 15 minutes to a half an hour long. They kind of had this God, one of the girls there, she had a band, and they actually did the theme song. Yeah,
Oh.
if you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. It's called the One Up Show. They still have lots of it on YouTube. It was
I.
great.
I might have watched it. But as I get older here,
Oh
they,
no, let's not
they
go there.
things from 20 years ago, and
I
they're
know.
starting to get a little fuzzy.
Yeah, but yeah, again, it was a great site, and it was a great mix because you never felt as a contributor that you were left out there, from the pro contributors that were actually working for the site and for the magazine, because all the content was kind of in together. You could be reading a fabulous article, and it would be from a member, not one of the magazine staff, and it was just, the rating systems and the reviews that it had on there. It was a one of a kind thing that we'll probably never see again.
Yeah. No, definitely loved it. Well, let's before we dive into talking about your game, let's what type of gaming do you do now? You mentioned you have a gaming laptop to us
Um,
before the call. So what type of what sort of stuff do you play right now, or what's your main kind of gaming?
well, well, again, I've pretty much played everything. Currently, uh, I was on a kick for a while where I was playing a lot of multiplayer games and kind of drifted back into, playing old school single player story driven games, it's a huge thing for me because, I believe that the story driven game is king, still always will be king, because you cannot get that kind of content in a multiplayer game. It's just not possible. And even when you have things like Neverwinter, which are great,
Mm,
the stories tend to be compartmentalized into areas or sections, and you don't have that full linear gaming experience. So
right, right.
currently, I've been playing. I know, God, I'm going to hear it for this one. I've been playing Final Fantasy 15, which most people either hate or love to hate. I find it infuriating as hell. The battle system drives me insane, but I still keep going back and playing it because it still has the trappings of a decent Final Fantasy game, but it lacks in so many other places. I've also been replaying Dying Light now that they're having the
Oh,
anniversary for Dying Light. They're doing all this these new events that they've added into the game. They've also added in a game mode called the story mode to make combat a little bit less intense for people that maybe have tried the game and just found that killing zombies, literally drove people insane because the zombies are really hard in that game. And not it wasn't unplayable, but after a couple of updates, it got to be the point where even I was like struggling.
I
And
yeah, I was talking to my stepson about Dying Light, and he basically summed it up that it's hard to fight with parkour, and I don't I don't know what he quite meant with both that, but um,
I can understand what he meant with that. It's just parkour is a major component of the game because you do a lot of running, jumping.
mhm,
There's a lot of verticality to the game where you can scale things to get away from zombies because they can't climb, even
right.
though some of them do in the game. Um, and that's a lot of the thing. It's like running, jumping, escaping from things. A lot of the weapons are very low powered until you get like three-quarters of the way through the game, and then you get some really high end weapons. But you've always got to keep a lot of weapons on you, and it's either fight or flight. It's like you may have to, take out a mission objective and then just get the hell out because you're being swarmed by zombies, which is where the parkour comes in. Mind you, though, as you level up, if you pick your skills properly, the parkour actually has a lot of moves where you can literally what is the one called, like a missile drop kick, where you do this drop kick and you fly at the enemies and take them out one hit. So the
Mm,
parkour does kind of actually factor into it very well. You just have to be deep into the game, which wasn't kind of a I don't think it was a good layout that way because that stuff kind of should have been earlier in the game to help players progress and have the game just not be so damn hard sometimes.
okay, and
Well,
you're
you
playing
got me
all.
interested
Oh,
in. You got me interested as soon as you said missile dropkick. I think that was
Oh yeah,
sounds pretty good.
and
it's
you're playing
actually
all
quite
this on
hilarious.
PC. Oh, sorry, you're playing
Oh,
all this on
sorry.
PC, right?
Yes, I am. I actually
Okay.
I use Steam. I
Yep.
also have, which is where I got Dying Light and some other games. I also have both the PlayStation Now
Mm.
and the Xbox PC beta, which is amazing, by the way. It's their new Xbox. What are they calling it? Xbox Live Ultimate.
Yep.
Um, with the new systems that are coming out, they're trying to make a unified user experiences across PC and Xbox. So this Xbox PC beta is amazing. They've got a lot of PC ports and games that were on the Xbox Live, but also have PC versions. And if you have the Game Pass, you can play on anything. If it has the same version of the game on Xbox, it's cloud saved. You can switch right to your Xbox, continue playing. And I mean, I've loved my PlayStation over the years, but Microsoft is just, for consumer end, they're really doing things right for people, handling it well. So I mean, I have like bunch of real-time strategy games. I've also, well, I call them my downtime games because I play my intense games, and if I feel like playing something late at night, I play something simple. So I've been kind of playing this game on the Xbox PC called Two Point Hospital, which
Oh,
is it's kind of like The Sims, but it's absolutely insane, and you run a hospital.
yeah. I've been picking up a lot of chatter about that
It it's hilarious.
on like a lot of people. And yeah, actually, it's on Game Pass right now, like on the console. I
Yep.
was looking at installing it out and trying it. Yeah,
Oh, you definitely should.
I made that discovery about the cloud saving though, because uh shoot, what's the name of that game? It's like the ultimate battle simulator. Um,
Oh, yeah, I know the one you're talking about. I just
yeah,
cannot remember the name. Oh,
but
Oh,
what a
anyways,
Tabs. You're talking Tabs, right? With
tabs. Yeah, yeah,
yes, yes.
that's
yeah.
that's a hilarious game. That's
So I was playing it on
recommend.
the Xbox, the console, and these old eyes couldn't read all the details about everything that you could build. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna see if my PC will run this, and was totally blown away that that cloud save came right over to my PC, and I was able to pick up right where I had got into it. It's great.
Oh, yeah, it works so flawlessly. It's not funny. So,
Yeah.
uh, I've also been messing around with also on the Game Pass. They've had the Wastelands, which
Oh yeah.
absolutely awesome game, and just a whole bunch of stuff I've been trying out there. And then on the PlayStation Now, when it works, I hate to say it, but when it works, because it doesn't always work right anymore. I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn and getting back into Dead Island, which I never got to finish years ago. Which Techland, they worked on Dead Island. They're doing Dying Light, and
Oh,
and Dying Light 2, even though it's been suspended indefinitely,
right, right.
should hopefully be coming out. And even Dead Island 2, they've got I don't know who's working on it. I think it's Deep Silver is still working on it currently. So that should be quite interesting to see. So yeah, I'm kind of all over the board. I mean, I'm not a person that gets bored easy, but sometimes just you tire of a certain type of game after playing it so long. So I
Yeah.
just like to have lots of games, lots of options, but it's mostly been Final Fantasy and Two Point Hospital for the last little while.
Yeah, we know nothing about game ADD
Oh, I
at
know.
all.
What? What? What was that?
um, yeah, like just having game ADD about everything. We hop from system to system all the time.
Oh, I completely hear that. And then, and then different control schemes, having to get back into different control
Ah,
schemes for
yeah.
different games. And then you're like, what does this button do? Why is this not working? It's like, why did I just punch that guy in the face when I meant to go into my inventory?
Exactly. Well, this would be a good time. Maybe we'll move into. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the game you're making?
Well, I'm currently working on two.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of crazy. One is a 2D platformer, which is the one I had actually contacted you about,
Oh, tell me
um,
more. Tell me more.
with a donut-loving rabbit named Chonk.
Okay.
Yeah, and I kind of styled Chonk after some of the crazy rabbits that I've seen in things. It's going to be kind of a zany 2D platformer. Um, Basic premise is aliens come to take over the planet, and they literally destroy all the donuts, and Chunk gets pissed off and goes on a rampage to take out all the aliens to get the donuts back.
Awesome.
Yeah, and literally, even when you're playing the game, instead of like Super Mario coins,
Yeah.
whenever he hits an NPC, donuts fly out of them. And his signature move is going to be basically like a sumo belly butt to take out enemy players.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my reaction when I started thinking about it too. I'm like, okay, this could actually be cool.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, it's
that's
got a real jazz jackrabbit kind of vibe
Yes,
to it from what you're
exactly.
describing. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, the only infuriating thing has been Unity. Oh my dear God! I know that you know everybody says Unity is easy. Unity is easy. You can use it, and yet everybody that teaches you how to use Unity, or every tutorial I've ever found on Unity, except for one I found yesterday, but I haven't looked at yet. Um, they literally kind of start you off where it's like, okay, we've already pre-made this scenario, we've done this, this, and this, and then they talk a mile a minute about how to compile things and put it together and make your game, and you kind of like, not coming from having previous development experience, I'm like, whoa, whoa, go take it back. It's like, I want to know exactly how you set up the environment, so that I can take care of things and do stuff. Um, and I'm like, well, how do I set this aspect ratio? It's like, how does everybody have this, beautiful, uh, aspect ratio? And then I find out after looking through about 30 videos that you have to make your own custom aspect ratios.
oh,
And it's like, oh dear God. It's like, and all it was one single button click. So I had to go through 30 videos to find out, oh, button click, set my aspect ratio, good to go. And then it actually stays in Unity and you're able to use it over and over again. Yeah. So that's been one of the big frustrating things with working on Chonk. The other one project, which is unnamed, has been. I've always been a massive fan of RPGs. Like, I've just loved them, like, of all kinds. Played Final Fantasy a lot. Absolutely loved the first Fable game. I still think for North American RPG, that thing rocked, and it brought RPGs down to a level that you didn't feel like you were going to pull your hair out with, like skill trees and things that you need to do. There was still depth, there was still a leveling system, but it was easy to do, and the choices were easy to make, to be good with it. And just the storyline was incredible. And so, yeah, still kind of love Fable for that. So I've been using something that I got off of Steam, which was a free program, but now that I've been playing with it, I'm actually looking into buying it, and it's called RPG Maker, and absolutely incredible piece of software. Everything is laid out in either control boxes and then sets of tabs within control boxes. You can create your own content, download content, artwork, background, scenery, music, other things to put in it. Very simple to put together. It does have a bit of a learning curve, but when compared to other software, I found it a lot easier and a lot more fun to use. It does have some serious restrictions because you can only create stuff that's like old school, like Zelda and Final Fantasy, 2.5D or top down with a battle
yeah.
system. But, you know, within those kinds of confines, you can actually, there's a lot of creativity to be had in trying to use the limited stuff that you have to make a decent game. But I found RPG Maker, for the RPG that I'm working on, just to be, you know, um, it's an exciting little piece of software. So I've been using it with that RPG, and just trying to find more content to it. And then the big thing was, finding my gameplay loop and writing the story, because, as an RPG with like limited graphics, it's going to obviously be very heavily story and character driven. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. Plus, I've been toying with the idea of uh, a vertical scrolling. What do they call them now? Hyper casual game. Um,
Like a walking sim?
Kind of, but this is vertical, kind of like almost falling, and you have to avoid objects, interact with other, or sorry, I should say avoid interaction with like things in the environment. So your character is literally falling all the time, and you have to guide the character around obstacles. Um, so imagine just like turning a 2D platformer on its side, and you're playing it that way. And one of the ideas I came up with was a unicorn rocket. So this giant unicorn with a huge horn like shoots up at the player, and he has to avoid it. And just comical zany things like that just to include it in the game to make it fun, make it a little bit more challenging. And that's kind of where I found out about the aspect ratio thing in Unity, because I wanted it to have like a Tetris grid kind of dimension, like a rectangle. Well, yeah, it took 30 videos to find out how to make a rectangle in Unity.
So, if you could put a rough time spent um, on Chonk there, how long do you think you've spent now, and like how far along into the game would you say that you are?
Well, now that I'm kind of getting past the learning curve of Unity, um, I've got some of the basic gameplay loop down. I've got a placeholder environment set up for the first level, which is what I was gonna have you guys, was demo to have you guys play.
Mm-hmm.
But that just keeps getting set further back. So I spent 4 months learning how to use Unity, and gotten about a week's worth of work done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
I mean, I'll get there. But like I said, with RPG Maker, I've done tons of stuff already.
Yeah.
And so now I've got to kind of go back and actually redo the game to make it more what I want to.
So, with the RPG that you're working on, what's kind of the story of that?
Well, the central theme of that, if I had to, give it voice, basically it starts off with a character. The entire land is covered in darkness. So I kind of have the working title Soulstone in it.
Okay.
And this character wakes up, the entire land is covered in darkness, and she has to, fight demons, werewolves, other kind of gothic creatures, but still within the whole confines of an RPG. And each time that she destroys one of these creatures, the creatures absorb the darkness in a particular area around them, and it creates one of these soul stones, which she then collects. And basically, same old, has to progress through the entire land and get rid of all these creatures and, rid the darkness from the entire land. And then the soul stones themselves could be used for weapon power-ups, maybe special attacks to defeat, more and more increasingly more challenging NPCs, bosses. But yeah, that was the basic story of this female character trying to save her homeland, restore order to everything, and basically fix all that's wrong.
Okay. So how long have you spent on that?
Well, using that as a juxtaposition, I've put about 3 hours into it with RPG Maker thus far, off and on, and probably got about 25% of it done. So that just, RPG Maker, incredibly easy tool to use.
Yeah. You shared me some screenshots of what you had going there.
The little videos.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that it looked very elaborate.
Yeah, and that's the thing with RPG Maker. Very easy piece of software. You can get things going. I mean, I'm looking for a more complex, rather than a head-on battle system, to do like old style, like Final Fantasy side-by-side turn-based battles. Just takes some scripting work. But for the time I've been able to put into it, it's actually been going really well. But I'm going to go back, change character assets, artwork, add in, better music, things like that, and then kind of move forward and progress from there. I mean, I'm sure the story may change and alter a little bit, but that's the basic premise of the story, and now it just has to be fleshed out, with the actual characters and the linear story development.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been fun. It's been maddening at times. Getting back to that old thing about, I can make a better game than that. And then when you get in there without any experience, you're like, maybe I can't. Maybe I'll just, grab my controller and go play something for a while.
Yeah, I mean that's what I That's where I tend to lead. I mean, I was really intrigued when you messaged us, just that like meeting someone who's actually working on a game. Um, I know some people who work at BioWare here in Edmonton, but they're more tool developers
Ah,
for the games than doing any of the actual programming. So yeah, Rob, did you had a question that you wanted to ask here?
Oh, definitely. And I think what you're something I'm gathering from what you're saying too, Brent, is that it's like it's in a it's no longer that you have to work for a giant company like a BioWare or an Activision. That the tools out there right now allow someone who has a good idea to develop something, and you see a lot more of that with the indie market, like the booming indie market, and the what they're able to create. Like the we always come back to the Goose Game there. That group of 5 people, and they've got this hit now. So it's really cool that you're able to kind of put your ideas using a set of tools like the Unity tools there, and come up with something like that. But what I was going to ask was nothing related to that, but I was curious if you've had a chance to fool around with on the PlayStation. There's a set of tools now called Dreams. You've probably heard quite a bit about.
I actually have heard quite a bit of Dreams, and I find it intriguing.
Yes.
Um, I've looked into it, until you actually get your hands dirty doing it and get into the environment and start. I think that's the biggest thing is getting a feel for what you're working with. You can look into it, and I mean, and this is just, as a perspective shift for me from like, kind of being on the outside and then now kind of being on the inside and trying to figure things out. Yeah, I'm actually quite intrigued by Dreams. Um, I wish they would, honest to God, make a PC version of it so that you could make stuff for the PlayStation, because I think kind of trying to
Absolutely.
work with it in the PlayStation might be rather challenging. I mean, unless you could hook a keyboard and a mouse up to actually do things with it. Um,
That's been one of the main things I've read about that for sure. That you can use your controller or you can use the Move controllers.
oh dear lord.
Yeah, and
Not that I hated the Move controllers. I mean, I'm sure they're pairing very well with the virtual reality stuff.
yeah,
But when they first came out, I bought the gun and everything because I loved playing Killzone. That was where I actually got one of my screen name for the last 20 plus years, was Killzone. And just a funny little joke about that. I was playing Killzone when it first came out with a friend, um, and he was like, "How can you be so calm? I'm freaking out." And I'm like, "Well, you just get, be in the zone, be in your environment." And then he's like, "You're like a damn Killzone Buddha." And I was like, "That'll make a good screen name." And that's literally been my PlayStation and Xbox Live name for like the last 20 years.
that's awesome. We got a kind of funny story about that. Like Rob and I have been friends for a number of years here, but I didn't actually have him over to play games until about 3 years ago, and I still had the PlayStation 3 at the time. And I broke out the big PlayStation 3 guns so that we could.
Oh, right on.
It wasn't Killzone. It was that on rail shooter.
It's that Time
Um,
Crisis, right?
Time
Yeah, Time
Crisis, yeah.
Crisis. I was
Yeah.
just going
But
to say.
yeah, I had two of those big guns going, and when I pulled that out and had it set up, Rob's eyes just like boing, like he was like, "This is great."
Yeah, that is literally a genre that I wish for every day to come back. Like
Oh
there
yeah.
hasn't been
Oh,
a
I
good
know.
on rail shooters in forever, and
Um,
uh,
uh, if you want a good experience, if you have a Wii or a Wii U, check out House of the Dead Overkill.
yes,
I
yeah,
love that game, and especially
Yeah.
with the Wii remote, it was just phenomenal. It brought back like old school arcade nostalgia, and
We
it was just
actually
great.
we played when we were playing Time Crisis. That's what we went and tried after because they released it there on the PS3 in the
Oh yeah,
store.
they did.
Yeah,
They did. I have
and
never been able to play it with a gun on the PlayStation, but I'm sure it would probably be awesome.
It was pretty awesome.
Sweet.
Well, Brent, is there anything else you want to add about the games there?
Um, I think not so much about the games because that's kind of where I am with the games.
Okay.
Um, maybe just a little bit talk about development, and then maybe a bit of advice for other, people looking to get into doing game development.
That
Yeah.
sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Um, Again, as I said, getting into it, you start to see things from a different perspective. You go from, um, I can make a better game to this to, oh my God, no, I can't. And then if you stick with it, you're kind of like, okay, well, here's what I can do. Here's the ideas that I have. Here's what I'm capable of. And here's what I can probably learn to do. And then you kind of start to work within those confines and find your groove. Um, I'm not gonna lie. There are times where I've just wanted to walk away from everything, and just be like, "No, I'm gonna go and make a YouTube channel and go back to reporting on video games and stuff like that because I can't handle this crap." Um, I mean, I'd still like to do that kind of stuff, but uh, even if nothing great comes of it, I do want to finish at least one game, get it out there as like a personal achievement for myself. I mean, yeah, if it works out and I can make other games, that'd be great. Um, but the point is just really to never give up with what you're doing, because as a new developer, you'll always kind of find your way through it. It's like you can be like, oh my God, this thing sucks. I'm never using this piece of software again. Run off, go for a walk, play Final Fantasy for a couple hours, have dinner, sit down, watch a YouTube video, and then it will just click. And you'll be like, oh, that's how I can do this. And then you'll run right back to the piece of software that you swore you're never going to use again and start working out things. Um, and the biggest thing is not to, and I think this is the advice part, just, for people who are out there looking to do this for a living, um, don't. At least not right away. Not unless you're an experienced developer and have a team of people to work with. Just because if you're going it alone or you're going in without having development experience, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Kind of keep your day job or whatever you're doing. Take it seriously, but work at it on the sidelines until you can, start putting out something that's marketable and therefore, obviously making money off of it. And then go from there, whether you still decide you feel you want to make games professionally for a living. Because a lot of people just drop everything. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go and make games. And they're really not as easy as they seem. Everybody. Hey, no, it's true. It's like it's like I can make this, and then you're sitting there going, "Oh shit, no, I can't." But baby steps. Start out with something small. Make a little game. Don't just get in there and say I'm gonna, revolutionize the RPG industry with my ideas, because you won't. You may make a little cool RPG. People may play it. People may buy it. But the deepest point of that I can make to people is, don't put all your eggs in one basket, but still pursue what you want to with passion, and see what comes of it. See, if you want to stick with it. It's just like anything new that you try. You may decide, and you guys being Canadian, you'll know this is like, oh, I'm going to go and pick up and play the recorder like we learned how to do in school, and I'm going to do that professionally. Yeah, I can see the cringe. And then, yeah, exactly. And then after a while, be like, I hate this thing. The noise of it is like, making my eardrums bleed. I don't want to do this anymore. I wanted to learn how to play guitar years ago. Dead set on the electric guitar, learned that I sucked at it, but I actually enjoyed playing bass better and had a lot more fun with it. So it's like, I was dead set on guitar, stuck with it for years, sucked at it. A little bit better at playing the bass, and I enjoyed it. Still never did it professionally. But the point is, pursue things with passion, but definitely, don't hinge your entire life and reality on it until you have something that's marketable and you can get it out there and people play it, and if you still feel that same kind of passion, if you still feel that same onus towards what you're doing, and you're making enough money off of it to survive, then by all means, at that point in time, go headlong into being an indie game developer.
That's I think that's some awesome advice.
Thank you.
I mean, it definitely comes from life experience, and I think
It so does.
us being of a little more mature age, because just I think I can put you in our age bracket, just from
yes.
from the stuff that you've been mentioning here. This is yeah, I mean that's great advice to still pursue your dreams, but in this day and age, you can't just you know drop what you're doing and say I'm going to become a magician. Rob.
Hint, hint.
You said you were never going to bring that up again. It hurts.
So I told you not to open that closet again.
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously, it's like, I played a mobile game, which I still do kind of play off and on. I won't mention it because the developers are real buttheads. That's the kindest thing I can say about them. But there are a lot of people that still play the game. It is a great little space adventure game done like an RPG. So imagine mixing Dungeons and Dragons with a multiplayer space game. It really kind of works. But the devs have let it slide. They don't care about the game anymore.
Oh.
Which is sad. I've been playing it it's been around for almost 10 years. I've been playing it for like 7 or 8 years off and on. Made a lot of great friends off of the game. Lots of people, that I'm still in contact with. Hop every once in a while to do some NPC farming, chat with people. But there came one point where everybody was kind of rallying against the developer, and there were a few people who were like, you know what, we can do better than this. We're going to make our own version of this game. And I'm just like, it's like, yeah, one guy was like, I'm just going to quit my job and put everything into it. Another guy who was a computer science student, he's like, I don't need any of you. I can do this all by myself and code this whole game. And I'm just like, you guys need to like chill for a minute. I said, if you guys want to work together, I love this game. I'll get in on it with you and I'll help you out. But we need to have structure. We need to have a plan. We need to know what we're doing. We need a game development document. We need to understand our ideas and mesh them into a coherent whole. And within a week or 2 weeks, everybody had just gone off and did their own thing. Some people gave up on it. And this is what I mean about, excuse me, you can't just go off half-cocked and say, hey, I can do better than that, if you're not willing to put in the time and effort and stick with it, as a passionate project until you see it through. It's just like with this group, I mean, great group of people, played games with them for a long time. Some of them had the experience to do it. Some of them had the skills and the knowledge to do it. But it was just like, I'm going to do this. And then when I started to get in there with them, it's like, okay, well, this is what we need to do. From what I've learned about game development over the last 4+ years that I've been looking into it, studying, reading about it, and just absorbing myself with it to help myself understand it better from a journalistic perspective. And, as kind of a fledgling game developer. And I said, here are the steps that we need to take. Here's what we need to do. Here's the logical order we need to progress in. And everybody was off at 7 other points in the galaxy wanting to do their own thing. And the whole thing just kind of fell apart. So, that again comes back to, organization, sticking with it, and pursuing your dreams, but not giving up on everything else.
No, that's sound advice.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty normal. It's like you wouldn't be in a job and say, oh, well, I'd like to learn how to do shipping and receiving at this company. So I'm going to give up my manager job. You could all go to hell. And I'm going to go and hang out in the corner of the warehouse and watch the shipping and receiving guy and hope that I can do his job. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's what it amounts to.
Yeah, it definitely does.
And I was going to answer your question. Oh dear. About dreams. Yes. Sorry, that's the last one.
Yeah.
from what I've seen of it, it looks phenomenal.
It
It
does
should be,
definitely seem like something that should be on the PC, though, right? Like, I totally agree with
just
you there.
from a play perspective and even from a development perspective, it would probably be a lot easier to work with on a PC to make stuff. I am just hoping that in the long run, that if people are going to make content, that content is, let's just say, and I know I'm going to hear about this one, is not exclusive, if you know what I mean. Because
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if people are going to make great content, um, and only a small percentage of people get to play it, and even if they allow people to start selling their content,
Hmm.
um, if it's going to a limited audience, then there's a potential for disaster there. I'm not saying it wouldn't be fun. I'm not saying it
Hmm.
wouldn't be interesting, but if you have all of these people creating these beautiful things, and then they have like 10 people to share it with,
Yeah.
then the whole premise of Dreams in itself just collapses.
That's I've read some stuff about that. A lot of people are feeling that, like on the PS5, there needs to be a Dream store.
Oh, there
And,
definitely should be.
Sure.
but
Yeah.
but if you can play this stuff, make it well, unfortunately, make it exclusive to the PS5, but don't make you have to have Dreams to play it.
Yeah.
And
Otherwise, it
that,
becomes like a Mario Maker type of thing where you need to have the game, like you do with now with Dreams.
yeah.
Kind of going back to what you said about Unity there, Brent, where make it like that, where make it an engine that people can build things in, regardless of whether owning a game or not. You can give people access to the Dreams engine to make the games in and release them separately. That'd be a great way for this to go. But
Oh yeah, I totally agree on that. And one of the reasons I chose Unity was that, I mean, aside from all their programs that I could have used to work in, much easier, I chose Unity for the simple fact that it will compile for all platforms: mobile, Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, even WebGL. For
So
online games.
sorry,
That's why
Brent.
I picked Unity.
Sorry, Brent. Excuse my ignorance. Is that the programming language that Epic uh,
Um,
supports, or is that, am I
but you
thinking
mean
of it?
the WebGL?
No, the Unity. Is that?
Oh, Unity is a program made by the corporation that makes Unity, but um, each each console developer, everybody, they have their own set of development specs so that things will run. I mean, I'm just putting it simply, so that games will run on their particular console or on a cell phone or on a PC. Now, Unity will compile, therefore put together your entire game and package it to run on all of these different platforms. So if I'm making Chunk, for instance, I can actually compile a build for Xbox, and it will handle all of that automatically without me needing to know how to compile code for the Xbox.
Oh,
Same with the
that's awesome.
PlayStation and the Switch, and that's one of the reasons I chose Unity, because if I'm going to make something, I want to, share it with everyone. I want it to be eventually available on all platforms.
Yeah.
Or any game I want to make, really. I don't want to be limited to one platform. And Unity works very, very closely with developers. They work very, very closely with Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, so that the most current development environments are always being updated into Unity, so that you are always up to date. Um, I find Unity infuriating at times, but still, it is a really, really high-end, versatile, great piece of software. I mean, even though I'm probably going to complain about it for the rest of my life, I'll still use it because it just is so good.
That's awesome. Oh, so uh, you know, I get all these thoughts in this giant head of mine.
and
I
then
was
they
thinking
fly
of
right out.
Unreal, the
Oh
Unreal
yes.
Engine. and that I'd read some stuff on that they were um, looking into, or that their language, or they were developing it to be um, easy to use in the same sense you were just mentioning, that when you compile stuff, you can compile stuff to mobile and whichever console you pick, and
Yeah,
from there.
that's again one of the reasons why I didn't pick Unity right now. It's just Unity is for developers, basically people who have the experience that know what they're doing, and can take care of all these things, basically with their eyes closed. But Unity, I'm sorry, Unreal is making great strides
Hmm.
to um, make the engine more open to any developers and people with less experience developing games. And as you said, get all this compiling software together so that it is easier for people to compile games for multiple platforms. Um, and I think once do that, I mean, there will be a great switch to the Unreal Engine if they can pull that off, and if they can make a simple interface for designing games. A Paper is good, like their version of the game development environment called Paper. I believe it's
Okay.
called Paper. I think. Don't quote me wrong. Um, um, there, improvements in that just could be mind blowing if they could pull it off, because then literally Unreal would just become the be all and end all of game development engines. Um, and come back around to that, like what you were saying, um, the content for Dreams, even though it can be made on the PlayStation or hopefully on a PC, that kind of content, as you were saying, should be open to people that don't even have the game. Like they can open
Hmm.
it up. It will open up in its own instance, run, as the game would. But if people just wanted to say, "Oh, okay, well, I happen to like, this guy's level or the game that this guy put together in the engine, I'm going to download it to my PlayStation or my PC and I want to play it." Um, if that, if the person is charging, say, $5.99 for their game, that's fine. You shouldn't have to go and um, pay for a full version of said, development tool just to be able to play the game.
Exactly.
And I think
Exactly.
if they do that with Dreams, they'll have a hit on their hand. I
I,
think they really will.
I think so too. Okay. Well,
Excuse me.
unless you got anything else you want to share about game development there, Brent, do you have any websites or anything where people could follow you, or you?
I actually don't yet. I've started to make some, but I will definitely, obviously, share with you guys
Okay.
as soon as I have those, up and running. I have started to make them. Um, I've been using, let's just say, a development tool for websites that I absolutely hate. But unfortunately, the person who's helping me with my web design uses that tool. I won't name it, but I cannot stand it. It's the most archaic thing on the planet. But it is a powerful tool and it works. But trying to use it is like um, trying to piece together a dinosaur skeleton.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and so it's getting there. The site's coming along. Um, I do actually have one on Facebook too, which I'm developing as well. And but when I get it done, definitely will have that up and running. And really, the biggest thing you can say is both you guys are awesome. No, like I mean, really cool. Like I've been part of a lot of Facebook groups for gaming over the years, and you two definitely the coolest, definitely the most chill, and probably the most fun to work with and talk to. And even in the future, I you know hope we can do more content together, because all of our previous interactions and doing this here right now has been an absolute blast.
So the money's in the mail, Brent. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
That's
I'm just gonna say, so that PayPal transfer went through. That
must have. Yep, yep. That's great.
Yes, yes. Just let me check my phone here.
well, like I said at the beginning there, Brent. I mean, you're one of our constant contributors. You've always got you know and like we're good guys. We don't like negativity, and you don't have anything bad to say whenever you're commenting on stuff, and that's the kind of stuff we like. Really like that. So, we're slowly growing our community here, and we're we're definitely not professionals at this. We've proven that time and again. But
And I
it's
don't
great.
think anybody has to be. I mean, the
Yeah.
point
Oh,
is
for
you're
sure.
doing what you want to
Absolutely.
do. You're doing it on your own dime, so to speak, and you're doing it for the passion of it because you enjoy it. And that shines through. I'll let you know that shines through. It really does.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely the if it ever stopped being fun, it wouldn't be something we would pursue. But we're having a blast doing it, and it's great that we can have contributors on like you to kind of
Thank you.
talk about something that's so important to all of us. So
Yeah. And something we have no experience in our wheelhouses with. Uh, Never been a programmer, so
Honestly, it's still all new to me. Um, but I'm learning. I'm having these learning experiences, and um, as with anything, I think you're trying to learn. There are tons and tons of ups and downs, highs and lows. Times where you just want to walk away from everything. Times when you think you couldn't do anything else but be involved in the industry. And so, yeah, I guess just like anything you do, it's like when I worked in the film industry. Um, I loved the feel of it. I used to do camera work and editing and
hmm.
sound, and I loved the feel of it. I loved, being part of contributing to this medium that has entertained people for so long, and um, seeing the stories as they were being put together bit by bit that eventually, becomes a film or a TV show. Um, but then when you're working 18-hour 20-hour days, in brutal weather, and you have all these other things going on, there are days when you're just like, yeah, I think I'm just going to leave the camera here and walk away and go home.
Yep.
But like I said, so there's highs and lows in everything, but you stick with it for the passion and because you enjoy it. And if you stop enjoying it, but you guys, honestly, you're great. You seem to be enjoying the hell out of this. The community is great. Um, and I'm loving all of it, and everybody that's there, seems to be quite happy about being there. I've, but like I said, been part of a lot of other ones. There's tons of negativity, people that get in there that think they know everything. Admins that are always angry at everybody, and I don't know why they do it then if they're not happy with it and there's no passion in it. And I think that's what it comes down to. And like I said, you guys have the passion, and you've been honestly, it's been a fun experience the whole time that you know I've been part of the group, and I look forward to a lot more fun experiences.
Well, thanks, and we hope to present some. That's for sure.
Well, you do daily. It's never a dull moment. It's always fun and interesting, and always new information. And I consider myself pretty on the ball with the industry at times. And then one of the two, you post something, and I'm like, shit, how did I miss that? So, like I said, you provide a lot of great content too.
Okay, excellent.
yeah, thank you very much. Yeah,
All
it's
right, you're
great.
welcome.
Well, you know, I think with that, I think we can wrap this up. I think we've covered everything we're going to cover.
Awesome.
Um, well, everyone who checked this out, thank you. Once again, we're the Grumpy Old Gamers, and this has been our guest, Brent George.
Hey, thank you
And
for having me.
yeah, thanks for the interview. This has been great. Like I said at the beginning, we've never interviewed anyone before.
Well, I
So,
think it went pretty well. This is the first time I've ever been interviewed too. So,
so we'll definitely do some updates on your game development. Have you on again
oh,
once
I'd
you're a
love
little
that.
further along, and then give us some updates on your games there. And
Yeah, I would seriously love that. And if you guys ever want a roundtable and chat about games or rant about stuff, just let me know. That would be great.
okay,
That's
that
our wheelhouse. Yeah.
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 All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. You can always check out our content we post all of our original content to thegrumpyoldgamers.com, and we're very active on Facebook at again the Grumpy Old Gamers, and I think that's it. So have a good evening, everybody.